Hello, this is Mavijo, qualified Azure Solutions Architect. In today's video, we're going to look at accessing Azure Key Vault secrets using a system-assigned managed identity through an Azure function in the Azure portal. Let's get into it. Let's go. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is actually create a key vault. So you just go to portal.azure.com. Go to the search area, type key vault. The fuzzy search will bring you this particular view. Okay, so the next thing is just to click on the create key vault button in the portal. It should load up quite quickly, and then we're just going to allocate a resource group in which to put the particular key vault. I already have one in US East created, and then you'll have to create a key vault name which is unique across all of Azure. So yep, we're going to just create a key vault, name it according to your organization's naming standards here. I'm just going to use the normal. This one is probably taken. Yes, I think. Yep, this is available. I'm just going to let it stay in the US East region for now. You have two pricing tiers to put it in. So we're just gonna go with standard now because we don't need any extra functionality. Okay, so there are days to retain the particular vault after it's deleted. Just going to go with a minimum of 7. It goes to a maximum of 90. We don't need to worry about patch protection for now. Okay, now this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So access policies are what we use to access our secrets, our keys, our certificates, and these can be Azure resources. Now what do I mean when I say this can be Azure resources? We mean that between resources there can be communication without the need for usernames and passwords, without the need for that type of complexity. So we can create a virtual machine, and in that particular virtual machine we can access secrets, keys and certificates without even calling this particular key vault with usernames and passwords. We don't need private and public keys as well, which is awesome. This concept is called managed identities. Now, how does it work? The way it works is that there's a trust created between Microsoft Azure resources internally, and that trust is kept internal and not exposed to the user. So that's how it actually works. It's a managed trust between resources. It's a managed trust between resources. That's what we call managed identities. So we're not going to create an access policy now. We'll come back to it later. So we're just going to create our key vault. So by default, I'm the owner there. I'm going to leave it as a public endpoint, and I'm going to create it. Okay, let's proceed. So after the deployment is completed, we're just going to click on the go to resource button. It'll open up the overview page of our key vault. Now our key vault is ready to host some keys, secrets and or certificates. We're just going to create a secret. So on the left hand pane, you're just going to click on secrets. You're going to click on generate or import, and we're going to leave it as manual, and we're going to name it our API key, ID number, API key. That's it. And in API key, so we're just going to input our API key here. Okay, with the others we're just gonna leave as defaults. It's quite cool to mention though that you can set the expiration of a particular API key, which is quite interesting. For example, if you have a project running for 2 months or so, you can just set the expiration date until then, and you don't have to worry about going to the portal again to deactivate it. Wonderful. So we have our API key in our Microsoft Azure Key Vault. Now, the next step is to create an Azure function that will be able to access this particular API key. How do we do that? Let's find out. In the search pane here, just search for function app. There we go. You'll see it under services. Just select it. We're just going to create a new one. As always, we have to assign it to a resource group. I'm just going to use the same resource group that we use for Key Vault. We're going to give it a name, a unique name across all of Azure. We can name it US East, and let's see which name is available. Okay, now 3 is available. Now we're going to use code to actually configure this particular function app. Our runtime stack is going to be .NET. You can use Java, you can use PowerShell. The support is actually quite robust here, so I'm going to use the new .NET version. We're going to place it in US East. Okay, let's proceed. We're going to select a storage account. This is mainly for function apps which actually store data. We're just going to make ours stateless, so we won't use it. The reason why we're selecting Windows here instead of Linux is because in Microsoft Azure, currently, you can only edit the code of function apps which are associated with the Windows operating system. Perfect. So the plan type, we're just going to leave as consumption. You do have the options to go functions premium or use an already existing app service plan which you can share with some app services. We're just going to leave it as consumption. Next tab, we're not going to configure networking. Monitoring, we're not going to use application insights for now for this particular video. Go to text, review and create. Awesome, the validation has passed. We're going to create our function app. One thing to remember though here, when creating a function app, it's not really a function app. It's a function app group. So we can have multiple functions in one function app. Now that our function app has completed deployment, we're going to navigate to it. Okay, here we go. We have our function app, which, as I mentioned, it's a function app plan, as you may. So on the left hand pane, we're going to go to functions, and we're going to create our very first function in this particular function app group. Okay, we have an option to develop in Portal, which, as I mentioned, is only available for Windows-based function apps. We're going to use an HTTP trigger. Which allows us to actually call the function through an HTTP URL. Okay, so after it's created, we have our function here inside the function app. We're going to go to code and test on the left hand pane. Now here's the sample code for our function app. So it's just a typical post box. Let's just test and run it just to make sure that the default is working. Azure CX. We're going to run it. It's connecting here on the left hand side, in the middle here. So we should see some results. And there we go. We get an HTTP 200 back. Say, hello Azure CX. This HTTP triggered function executed successfully. Perfect. So we know that it's set up correctly, and we know that we can actually call it. Let's verify that we can call it through a publicly available URL, fully qualified domain name. We're just going to copy the URL there through that button, open a new tab, paste the URL. Wow, this is perfect. So we just need to pass a name if we want it to be displayed. That's wonderful. So currently in Azure, the way we access Key Vault secrets is to use environmental variables. So we have to create an Azure Function app environmental variable in order to access that particular secret we created. So let's look at how we do that. We're just going to go to the search bar. We're going to go back to Function app. We're going to select our Function app. We're going to scroll down a bit. Under settings, we have configuration. So just click on the configuration link. This is where we're going to set our environmental variables. So we have some predefined here. We're just going to create our own. There's a new application setting button. Just click on that. So we're going to say ID number validator. You can use any name here. API key. Let's put FN just to emphasize that it doesn't have to be the same name as our Azure Key Vault's key name or secret name. Okay, now the value, this is quite important. The value here, we have a magic string at the beginning. It's at Microsoft, the Key Vault, and then you give it a secret URI. Now, where do we get this particular secret URI? Let's open a new tab and go to the portal again. Once we get to the portal, we're just going to search here in the search bar and search for our Key Vault. We're just going to type in Key Vaults, navigate to it, go to the Key Vault we created. If we go to secrets, because we created a secret here, here's our secret. We're just going to click on our secret. Under the current version of our secret, we're just going to click on it again. Wow, we have a secret identifier now that we can use. So we're just going to copy this particular value, go back to our function. In our functions configuration window, this is where the secret URI is going to be input. So there we go. Remember to close the parentheses there. We're going to click on OK. Immediately after this, you'll see if we return to this, we're just going to save it first. It's going to validate this particular reference just to make sure that we have access, first of all, and that the secret actually exists. Yeah, and that's when we will be able to be evaluated. Now, if we try to access this beforehand, we're just going to try accessing this beforehand now, just to see what will actually happen. So we're going to scroll up, go back to our functions. We're going to click on our function. We're going to click on code and test. So what we're going to do now is edit our code and access our environmental variable. So we're just going to remove all of these and API key, environment, get environment variable, and the name of our environment variable is, if we can go back to our configuration screen, going to go back to our function app. Under configuration here, we're going to copy our function we're going to copy our function app setting here, which is actually synonymous with an environmental variable. Okay, we're going to paste it here. This should not work, by the way, because a function app is just trying to access a secret without any authentication whatsoever, without any keys. So let's see what will happen. Let's save it first. It's connected. We're going to test run it. These actually don't matter, but let's just run it. The function compilation has some errors here, and it'll actually show you the errors here. Wow, this is powerful. So we have a compiler here. We see that we have a typo. Let's just fix our typo here. It's good that we don't have to use an IDE just for elementary code in our function app. So we see there's another error here. We're just going to fix it quickly. Save it. This is powerful. I'm glad this happened, because at least we can actually verify that the compiler works as we expect it to. Perfect. So the compilation has succeeded. Let's test it out. We're going to run it. Look at this. This value is not resolved. Now, why isn't it resolved? This is because of permissions. So let's go back to our functions configuration. Aha! Now we see that the key vault reference has an issue here. Now the reason why the key vault secret is not resolving is because we haven't set up permissions between our function app and our Azure Key Vault. Let's do that. We're going to use a system assigned managed identity. Now, what is a system assigned managed identity? Now, we spoke about managed identities being able to allow multiple resources in Microsoft Azure to communicate with one another without specifying any usernames or keys. So what we're going to do now is create a user assigned managed identity in this particular function app, so it can be able to access the Azure Key Vault secrets that we have defined. Let's see how we do that. In the function app itself, we're going to this setting to set the identity. Just scroll down on the left hand pane. Under settings, there's identity. Just click on that. You see the status is currently off. This is for a system assigned managed identity. So we're going to set it to on and save changes. Just for confirmation. So this allows us to access Microsoft Azure resources without worrying too much about Azure AD users and groups and assigning access. So what we're going to do is we just enable the system assigned managed identity and assign Azure permissions to that particular system assigned managed identity. Now, user assigned managed identities, on the other hand, enable you to reuse a managed identity across different resources. So you might think of this as an AD group. So assigning multiple users to a particular AD group. Typically, how you would use this is create a user assigned managed identity. Let's say you have 5 different VMs, but all those VMs access the same resources. So, for example, if all 5 VMs access the same Azure Key Vault, you would create a user assigned managed identity, activate that particular user assigned managed identity, assign it to the different VMs, and create an Azure Key Vault policy, access policy, which grants the user assigned managed identity access. So you wouldn't have to set it up for all 5 VMs individually. Now that we have our system assigned managed identity enabled, what we need to do is go to our key vault and grant this system assigned managed identity access to our secrets. Let's see how we do that. We're just going to again go to our Azure Key Vault, Key Vaults. We're going to select our Key Vault and we're going to edit. There's a setting called access policies. So on the left hand pane, yeah, there we go, access policies. And under access policies, we're going to add a new access policy. Click on the link there. You can select from predefined templates. For example, secret management will ignore keys and certificates and only give you access to secrets. But really, all we need is just read access to our secrets. And that's about it. Okay, we have two permissions selected. Secret principal. This is where the magic happens. Under secret principal, that's where we select all of the Azure resources that we want to be able to access these particular secrets in this particular Azure Key Vault. Okay, so we're going to select our function app in this particular principal. So we're going to select our Azure Function app here. The name is fnUseMT3. fnUse. There we go. There it is. Just going to select it. And we're going to add our policy. Under policies, as you can see, our function app has been added with secret permissions. Secret permissions to retrieve and list secrets. That's perfect. That's all we need. We're going to save our changes here. Perfect. So updates have been saved successfully. Now we're going to go back to our function. And in our function itself, we're going to look at our app settings to see if the Azure Key Vault reference has been resolved or not. So we're just going to scroll down, go to configuration. And if we scroll down to our application setting, which is our environment variable, look at this now. Things have changed after we've assigned a system assigned managed identity and added a key vault access policy. Now our key vault reference has been resolved. Now, the moment of truth, let's see if it worked or not. We're going to scroll up, we're going to go to functions, let's test it out. We're going to select our HTTP trigger. Under code and test, we're going to retrieve our function public URL, copy it to our clipboard, open a new tab, paste it in. Wow! Now, this random value, as you can see, it's an API key supposedly. Now, let's compare this to our actual secret in our key vault. In our key vault, just go to secrets. Let's select our predefined secret. Click on it. Show secret value. There we go. Look at that. Look at that. This is exactly what our function app has retrieved. This is perfect. Moment of truth. What if our secret changes? Now, let's just scroll. Now just navigate back. We're going to create a new version for our secret. Select your secret. Create a new version for the secret. This is a new secret value. We're going to create that new version. This particular version, we're going to refresh and we see that the value hasn't changed. Now, why hasn't the value changed? Now, this is because each and every secret has a version URI. That means if we want to change this particular value, we'll have to change the secret's URI. This prevents legacy applications from being broken when referencing particular secrets or keys. Now let's change this. We're going to show the secret value here. There's the value. Hide it. We're going to copy this version of the secrets URI. We're going to go to our trigger. As we did before, we're going to go to configuration under settings. We're now going to edit our application setting to reference the new secret version. Just going to edit this particular part, paste in the new version secret URI, confirm, and save. Continue. Now that it's done updating, we're going to go to our functions URI and just refresh. Wow, the secrets value has been updated to the secrets latest version. This is the latest version of the secret. So that's perfect. Now we know we won't introduce breaking changes if we just update secret versions. So that's a brief introduction to managed identities, how you can use them to access other Microsoft Azure resources, and how to update Key Vault secrets. Thank you for tuning in. Please remember to subscribe and like. Cheers for now.